Hare Krishna, devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I've been asked to say a few words about the importance of reading Srila Prabhupada's books and the results of doing that. So let me try and say something. In my own experience, when I first started reading Prabhupada's books, when I first joined the temple, really, in very early 1973, in those days we were extremely busy doing all sorts of service, some book distribution and other services for the upkeep of the temple, and we didn't sleep very much. So we were actually given some time every day to read. But my experience at that point was that when I sat down with a book and tried to read, almost inevitably, after just a short period of time, I would fall asleep. And so it was certainly frustrating. But then one day I got an inspiration, somehow or other, by the grace of the Lord and Srila Prabhupada. I got this inspiration that along with reading, I should take notes of the interesting points that I came across while reading Prabhupada's books. So I started doing that, and I would keep separate pages for separate topics, different things statements I would encounter in the verses and the purports. And, that was 45 years ago or something like that. I really got serious about taking the notes. It was probably 74, 75, something like that. And I was doing it every day. And there were different results. One result was that I didn't fall asleep any longer. That was a very good result. But another result was that my comprehension, understanding of the books really increased greatly. Another result, really important result, is that having this stock of information from Prabhupada's books, but also having to give classes regularly, because that was and still is very significant part of my service in ISKCON, that now I had all these notes and very specific notes on specific subject matters, that I could utilize those notes to help me to give my classes. So, believe it or not, 45 or so years later, I've still got those notes and I can still use them. What I'm doing right now, of course, they were handwritten. What I'm doing right now is that I'm entering them on the computer so that I'll be able to carry them around, because there are four big notebooks, and you just can't carry this sort of amount of material physically around with you. So there you have a suggestion from me that, of course, try to read Prabhupada's books as much as you can, but try to read as a student and really capture down the information that you're reading, and find a way to store it, so that for the future, for many years in the future, you'll be able to refer back to all those important points which made impressions on you when you were reading at this time. So try and do that. I think you'll find that it's a really wonderful experience, and it really helps to grasp what Prabhupada is saying more easily. Hare Krishna.